In this forecast, significant severe thunderstorms are possible for the southern half of the United States this week. This will bring the potential for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging wind gusts. The solar eclipse is also happening on April 8th, where significant severe thunderstorms will likely impact travel plans and will be dangerous to people hoping to see the eclipse. Everything you need to know on Project Gladiator. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Project Gladiator Weekly Overlook, and today I'll be covering the weather for the week of April 7th until around April 14th. So let's start off with our 500 millibar and our Jetstream pattern and how that's going to lead to the risk for severe thunderstorms across the United States this week. Let's start off with what's currently ongoing as of right now. Currently we do have a low pressure system associated with this fairly strong 500 millibar jet streak that is leading to the potential for some severe thunderstorms for portions of the eastern half of the United States. However, this will likely move out into the eastern half of the United States and the northeastern half of the United States by tomorrow, and likely will not see any more impacts from that after today. However, we are expected to see a second trough that is expected to develop further down to the south, and that's going to affect into the southern central plains and the southern Dixie states there, and that's going to be leading to the potential for some severe thunderstorms. Something I do want to note is that this trough is going to be advecting into the region on April 8th, and that is going to support the risk for severe thunderstorms on April 8th. And as you may know, the path of totality does go right through where we are expected to be watching for the potential of some significant severe thunderstorms. Those severe thunderstorms will likely be dangerous to anyone that is planning on going down to the Dallas and Austin region to watch the eclipse. And with those severe thunderstorms, it may make it quite hard to see the eclipse in the first place, as we'll be introducing a lot of low-level clouds that will not just filter the light, but will likely completely block the light from the eclipse. And then as we move into the 9th here, we are expected to see this low pressure system continue to advect out of the south, and we are expected to see quite a lot of moisture and quite a lot of heat being pulled out of the Gulf of Mexico here, and that will fuel the risk for severe thunderstorms along the coast, and that will continue to move into the southern Dixie states around the Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, and Florida Panhandle region around the 10th. And then as we move into the 11th, we are expected to see a low pressure system, a surface low that's probably going to move off to the north here, while our upper level lows still further down to the south. But this will continue to advect out of the south and continue to pull moisture out of the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico, and that will fuel the risk for severe thunderstorms on the 11th as well. However, after this trough will likely move out into the Atlantic Ocean, and we will likely not see any more impacts as far as the risk for severe thunderstorms after this trough moves out for the rest of the week. We are expected to be left with a strong subtropical jet that is going to make its way out of the Pacific Ocean here. However, this will likely not lead to all that much of a risk for severe thunderstorms, but we may be able to see some rain showers as a result of it across the portions of the United States that's going to be affected, like the southern central plains and the Mississippi River Valley regions. We are also expected to be watching this trough that is going to ride the Pacific coast here, and will likely advect into the western coast, leading to lots of rainfall for the western half of the United States along the coast there, where we could be watching for the potential of flash flooding. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity and the timing for our rain showers and our severe thunderstorms for this week, starting off with what's currently ongoing. We do have some severe thunderstorms that are currently ongoing for some of the Mississippi River regions associated with the cold front that is making its way across the eastern half of the United States. This will likely push into the eastern half of the United States, into regions such as Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, and Mississippi and Alabama on the 8th. So there's not really all that much of a hope for people that are going to be seeing some light precipitation on the 8th as a result of that cold front, because there will be quite a lot of clouds in place, and there will likely be little to no chance of anyone in the region being affected by rain showers to see that eclipse. But it does look like we may be able to see a little bit of snowfall for northern portions of the northern central plains there. However, heavy snowfall is likely going to be a fairly small concern for this week, but it still may be possible for some small regions. On the 8th and the 9th, we are going to be watching for the potential of some severe thunderstorms that are going to fire across Oklahoma, northern and eastern Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana there. and then we may get a second round on the 9th as well into the 10th, and then as we move into the 11th, we are expected to see that cold front continue to progress across the southern half of the United States, leading to the potential for some potentially significant severe thunderstorms across the southern half of the United States, mainly impacting regions such as Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and northern Florida there, and potentially into southern North Carolina. Again, what this will bring with it is the hazards for the potential of tornadoes, damaging winds, and potentially large hail as well. And then we are also expected to see the potential of some pretty widespread heavy rainfall associated with that low pressure system circling around that low pressure system. And that will likely lead to at least the potential for some flash flooding. However, we will likely not see all that much of a severe risk with rain showers up to the north of that cold front. And then this will likely continue to clear out into the 12th, moving more so into the Ohio River Valley region and the New England corridor. And we may be able to see a little bit of heavy snowfall for some portions of the 12th and the 13th for the New England corridor. But again, as I mentioned previously, heavy snowfall is likely going to be a very small concern for this week. And then into the 14th, that low pressure system will likely clear out of the region with potentially some lingering snowfall and some lingering rain showers. Taking a look at our temperatures and how they are going to be affected by our risk for severe thunderstorms and the various cold fronts that we are expected to see across this region, and why we are expected to see some quite extensive heat into the later half of this week. Starting off with what's currently ongoing, again, we do have that cold front that is currently progressing across the eastern half of the United States, and we do have some fairly decent temperatures across the central plains there. This is likely going to be significantly lower than what was previously seen a couple days ago as a result of that cold front, but we definitely do have some pretty decent heat ongoing for a lot of the United States. This is the spring season, so that is definitely not out of the ordinary, and we are expected to continue to see that heat. It will likely cool down a little bit across the eastern half of the United States with some of those rain showers in that cold front that continues to progress through, and we may be able to see some a little bit more colder temperatures further up north, with temperatures that may be able to get upwards of the 40s, maybe reach the 30s, but mainly linger around the 50s to the 40s further up north in the northern central plains and Midwest, as well as mainly around the 60s and the upper 50s for portions of the New England corridor. And then some pretty warm temperatures further down south that may be able to get upwards of the 80s and the 70s, which will definitely be quite concerning, especially when it comes to the risk for severe thunderstorms across the southern half of the United States, because we will likely see a lot of heat before storms actually initiate, and that will supply it with a lot of fuel for the potential of severe thunderstorms across the southern half of the United States, which is not good whatsoever, especially with the amount of people that may be going down to Texas in an attempt to view the eclipse. So we definitely have a pretty dangerous setup that is going to take place on the 8th, and with everyone that is going to be down in Texas for the eclipse, there will likely be some pretty significant impacts, and it will likely be pretty concerning. So if you are going down to Texas to see the eclipse, again, I cannot stress enough, but you guys have to be staying weather alert. And then again, as I mentioned previously, we are expected to see that cold front that is going to continue to progress across the southern half of the United States. We are expected to see the surface low likely move up to the north here, and we will see a cold front that's going to be draped down across the eastern half of the United States, which will likely lead to some much cooler temperatures for not only the southern half of the United States, where we will see some risk for severe thunderstorms, but we will also likely see our temperatures be impacted by any locations that are going to be impacted by that cold front. After that cold front moves through, we will likely see significantly higher temperatures, as any activity that was previously instated by that cold front will likely clear out anything that was ongoing and will allow for heat to build really rapidly across the central plains, and this will likely be concerning, especially into next week, as it will definitely be able to set the stage for the potential of severe thunderstorms next week, which we are definitely watching for, but there will be more information on that on the next weekly overlook. However, temperatures across the central plains will likely be able to get upwards of the mid and upper 80s to potentially the low 90s across portions of the central plains by the 14th. It will likely be significantly warmer across a vast majority of the United States by the end of this week. Taking a look at our instability, or in other words, the fuel for our severe thunderstorms across this region, and how that's going to be in place, and how that's going to fuel the risk for severe thunderstorms and potentially significant severe thunderstorms across the southern half of the United States this week. Again, as of right now, we do have some severe thunderstorms that are currently ongoing associated with the cold front that's moving through the region. So we are seeing some instability up along that region, which will fuel that risk for severe thunderstorms that is currently ongoing. But that will likely cut out as that cold front moves eastward and the sun sets, which will lead to overall less fuel for the risk for severe thunderstorms. However, we are mainly focused on the risk for severe thunderstorms that could potentially be significant for the southern half of the United States. We are expected to see an insane amount of instability that's going to build up across the southern half of the United States that will be set in place for a risk for severe thunderstorms for tomorrow, with instability values or fuel values that will be able to get upwards of the low 2000s and the mid 2000s, which is definitely more than enough to fuel the risk for potentially significant severe thunderstorms across this region. We will likely see that instability continue to progress along into the 10th along that cold front, which will definitely be able to fuel the risk for severe thunderstorms into the 10th as well, and potentially significant severe thunderstorms as well. And then into the 11th, we are going to continue to see that instability hold. It will likely be much less than what is going to be seen on the 10th, the 9th, and the 8th, but we could definitely see some decent instability, and instability that's going to be ample enough to fuel the risk for significant severe thunderstorms across the southern half of the eastern seaboard for regions such as North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and northern Florida. Taking a look at our supercell composite, what this does is it combines the conditions in the atmosphere to give us a general risk and intensity for the potential for severe thunderstorms across the United States. Keep in mind that this doesn't give us a percentage for the risk for severe thunderstorms, but it is a very good indicator on what the risk for severe thunderstorms may look like, and how much and how strong those ingredients are going to be coming together to support the risk for severe thunderstorms. And you can see as of right now, we do have some pretty decent supercell composite parameter values that are extending up into the region where we are seeing the potential for severe thunderstorms that are currently ongoing. However, for tomorrow, we are expected to see some quite wild supercell composite parameter values across the region of concern for the southern central plains, with values that may be able to get upwards of 2 to potentially 4 and maybe 5, which is definitely going to be pretty indicative of the potential of not only regular severe thunderstorms, but potentially significant severe thunderstorms as well. So again, if you are going to be moving down to Texas to view the eclipse, please stay on the lookout for the potential of severe thunderstorms, as there will likely be a lot of traffic, and with the potential of tornadoes, it is going to be pretty easy to be caught in a freak severe thunderstorms. Please definitely make sure you are staying weather alert if you are going down to Texas to see the eclipse. Again, we will likely see the potential for severe thunderstorms, some of which may potentially be significant. And then our supercell composites are going to continue to indicate the potential for severe thunderstorms into the 10th across the Louisiana region, eastern Texas, and southern Arkansas there, and will continue to indicate the potential for severe thunderstorms, but likely not as big of a risk for severe thunderstorms as the 10th, the 9th, and the 8th into the 11th, but still the potential of some lower end severe thunderstorms on the 11th, but we may be able to see an isolated significant severe thunderstorm depending on our different parameters. Taking a look at our energy elasticity index values, what this does is it overlays our instability, or in other words, our fuel for severe thunderstorms, as well as our directional shear, which are two very vital ingredients for the potential for tornadoes. And what this does is it overlays them and shows us how intense both directional shear and instability is, to kind of give us a general idea of what the risk for tornadoes may look like. Again, it doesn't give us a percentage, but it is a very good indicator on where we may see the potential of tornadoes and how big that risk for tornadoes may be. And starting off with the potential for severe thunderstorms and in tornadoes on the 8th, again, our energy elasticity index values are indicating the potential for tornadoes on the 8th across Texas. Again, please be on the lookout for severe thunderstorms if you are going down to see the eclipse across Texas on the 8th. And then into the 10th and the 9th, we are going to continue to see the potential for tornadoes as indicated by our energy helicity index values across Louisiana and eastern Texas. We could likely see the risk for tornadoes likely extend into southern Arkansas as well. However, this is a very low resolution model, so it likely doesn't show that just yet, but we could definitely see the potential for tornadoes extend up into southern Arkansas. And then as we move into the 11th, again, it is much harder to tell. However, it does look like the bare minimum ingredients for at least a lower end risk for tornadoes is going to be possible across the regions of concern for severe thunderstorms, and the potential for an isolated significant severe thunderstorm across the southern eastern seaboard is likely going to be possible on the 11th. But again, the risk for severe thunderstorms will likely be much lower compared to the 10th, 9th, and 8th across the 11th. Taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center's outlooks for severe thunderstorms for this week, starting off with what is currently ongoing, we do have a marginal threat that does extend from southwestern Kentucky there across western Tennessee into eastern Texas, with some of those severe thunderstorms that are currently ongoing. And then for our day 2 outlook for tomorrow, which is when the eclipse is going to happen, we currently have an enhanced risk for southern Oklahoma and northern Texas there, with a very large slight risk that extends from southern Oklahoma, northern and northeastern Texas, southern Arkansas, and Louisiana there, with a marginal threat and the potential for severe thunderstorms that may be able to extend all the way from western Texas into portions of western Alabama and western Tennessee. So we are definitely watching for a pretty widespread area for the potential of some maybe significant severe thunderstorms. And then as for our tornado risk, we do have a 5% tornado risk for eastern Texas into Louisiana there, where we could see the potential for a couple of tornadoes. And then for our damaging wind risk, we do have a 15% for southern Oklahoma, northern Texas, southern Arkansas, and northern Louisiana, where we could see the potential of some scattered damaging wind gusts, mainly ranging from 30 to potentially 50 miles per hour. And then for our hail risk, this is going to be the most concerning thing for tomorrow. We do have a 30% for southern Oklahoma and northern Texas. This hail risk is going to also be the primary driver for the enhanced risk area. And this hatched area, this area with the dotted black lines, does indicate the potential for some massive hailstones with any of the storms that may develop across this region, which is why it's so important, why I'm urging you that if you are traveling down to Texas to attempt to view the eclipse, that you are extremely cautious about severe thunderstorms, because large hail could potentially be damaging to any property and may potentially even be life-threatening, and will likely damage any vehicles that are potentially caught in a freak severe thunderstorm. And you definitely don't want to be caught off guard with severe thunderstorms and the potential for that eclipse. So again, definitely make sure you are taking the necessary precautions for the risk for severe thunderstorms for tomorrow regarding the solar eclipse across Texas. And then for our day 3 outlook, we do have a slight risk that does extend from the majority of central Texas into eastern Texas, southern Oklahoma, southern Arkansas, and Louisiana into western Mississippi, with a combined probabilistic 15% potential for severe thunderstorms, with the hatched area again indicating the potential for significant severe thunderstorms. And then for day 4 to day 8 outlook, we do have a 15% for the vast majority of the southern half of the United States, for southern Arkansas, eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. And then for day 5 outlook, we do have a 15% that does extend from southern North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and northern Florida there. Taking a look at the solar eclipse for this week, again, we are expected to see the solar eclipse take place on April 8th, 2024. And again, I do want to urge you to still be taking precautions for those severe thunderstorms that may be possible in the path of the eclipse. And you can see how the path of totality does line up with the potential for severe thunderstorms on the 8th here. So again, definitely make sure you are paying attention to the potential for severe thunderstorms for April 8th and with regards of that eclipse. So we're going to be going over the timing for the eclipse in the path of totality. So let's start off with when we are actually expected to see the area of totality pass into the United States. We are likely expected to see it begin to pass into the United States, starting with Eagle Pass and Uvalde around 2:30 p.m. EDT, and that will likely move into Caryville starting around 2:32 p.m. EDT, and then likely exit the Caryville region, and then start with Killen around 2:36 p.m. EDT, and we will likely see the potential for that very short window for totality for northwestern San Antonio. We could see the potential for a very short window of totality for northwestern and western San Antonio, likely around 2:33 p.m. EDT. This will move into the Dallas region, likely beginning around 2:40 p.m. EDT, and likely move out of the Dallas region into portions of southern Oklahoma there around 2:45 p.m. EDT. This will move into the Little Rock region in Arkansas, likely beginning around 2:53 or 2:51 p.m. EDT, and will likely move out of the Little Rock region around 2:54 p.m. EDT, and this will move into southwestern Missouri beginning around 2:53 p.m. EDT, and moving out of southwestern Missouri into southern Illinois around 3 p.m. EDT. And then as we move into Indiana, this will move into the Indianapolis region around 3:05 p.m. EDT, and likely move out of the Indianapolis region into Ohio around 3:10 p.m. EDT, and then this will move into the Cleveland region in northern Ohio around 3:12 p.m. EDT, and likely move out of the region around 3:18 p.m. EDT. This will likely move into the Niagara Falls and Buffalo region in New York, beginning around 3:18 p.m. EDT, and likely move out of the region around 3:22 p.m. EDT, and will continue across the New England corridor into portions of Vermont around 2:27 p.m. EDT for northern Vermont, and then moving into northern New Hampshire around 2:28 p.m. EDT, moving out of those two states around 3:32 p.m. EDT, and impact northern Maine there around 3:23 and 3:22 p.m. EDT, and move out into Canada around 3:35 p.m. EDT. So that is likely going to take place in likely anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours. This is going to be a very fast moving thing, so definitely make sure you are paying attention to social media, as well as again watching the weather if you live in the area that may be able to be impacted by significant severe thunderstorms. Again, definitely make sure you're watching social media for the timing for this eclipse, because I may have not done the best job, but again, definitely make sure you are watching the weather in that cloud cover. Taking a look at what models currently have indicated for cloud cover on April 8th and how that's going to affect the potential of seeing this eclipse. Again, with regards of the potential of severe thunderstorms across the southern central plains, we will likely see quite a lot of cloud cover and quite a lot of storms that will likely limit your potential of seeing those eclipse pass through this region across the southern central plains. There may be a couple windows where you may be able to see the eclipse. However, it will likely be pretty hard to see the eclipse. However, as you can tell, almost the entirety of the region of totality is likely going to be seeing cloud cover. Again, we are going to see that cold front that I mentioned previously that is going to move across the eastern half of the United States, which will likely introduce rain showers and cloud cover across the eastern half of the United States on the 8th, and there will likely be little to no chance of seeing the eclipse for regions of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, into portions of Mississippi and Alabama. However, I think overall our best chance of seeing the eclipse will likely be a very small window from Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, because a lot of models have been indicating the lack of cloud cover for those regions. However, almost everywhere else that is going to be in the path of totality will likely see at least a little bit of cloud cover. It's hard to tell if it will be upper level or low level. Those upper level clouds will likely be more faint and may filter the sunlight a little bit more than really block it out. But what we're watching for is those low level clouds, which will form with the risk for severe thunderstorms further down to the south in the southern central plains. However, this cloud cover model really does not put it into perspective on if clouds are going to be upper level or low level. So definitely make sure you're watching the skies on the 8th. Before I end the video, I do want to talk about the GoFundMe that we have set up for Project Gladiator. If you didn't know, Project Gladiator was for developing, designing, and testing a insanely powerful storm-chasing vehicle that will be able to gather information and data from some of the strongest tornadoes. I'm talking EF4, EF5 tornadoes, and we will be able to unlock the secrets of what makes the strongest tornadoes tick and how they get so strong, and likely be able to increase the warning time and make these significant tornadoes much more understood as well as much more predictable. So if you do want to donate to the cause, the link for the GoFundMe is in the description. If you want to help out but you don't have the money or you don't want to donate, you can also spread the word through social media. It is really up to you, but I hope to see you out in the field, and I thank everyone for their support so far. Now that I've chosen the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. If you live in any of the areas I covered for today, please stay weather alert for the time being. If you notice anything might have been wrong in this forecast or would like to make a suggestion or ask a question, please leave a comment. 3 other channels I highly suggest you check out are One Asian Weather, Weather Watcher, and JaxonWX, and hopefully you will be able to see that eclipse.